Welcome, Age of Vintage Society. Known in the 60s as the Joker on Batman, Cesar Romero played a series of Latin lovers in the 30s and 40s. He also starred as the Cisco Kid in films like The Gay Caballero. Back then the adjective had a different meaning, and Romero was described as a confirmed bachelor. But he was surprisingly candid in a 1996 book in which he recalled, among other things, a passionate night once with inveterate womanizer Desi Arnaz. Make sure to watch the video until the end and leave your thoughts in the comments. If you are new here, join our wonderful community by subscribing to the Age of Vintage channel. Cesar Romero, the Latin from Manhattan. Tall, suave and sophisticated, Cesar Romero was a star of Hollywood films and television. At the start of his career he was known as the Latin lover, type in a string of film musicals and romantic comedies, but he was also famous as the rogue bandit, the Cisco Kid, in a spate of low-budget Western movies. However, to a younger generation reared on television, Romero was best recognised for his role in the campy 1960s Batman TV series as the white-faced, cackling villain called the Joker. As well, he starred as a bumbling corporate villain in a series of Walt Disney comedies, such as The Computer Wore Tennis Shoes. Fans and critics alike agreed that Romero was a major talent who proved himself an enduring and versatile star in a variety of roles during his more than 60-year career as an actor, dancer and comedian. Cesar Romero's career on stage, screen and film spanned more than 60 years and included over 100 movies, as well as an array of stage and television appearances. His heyday was as a studio actor for 20th Century Fox during the 1930s and 40s. Often acting the role of the playboy, the other man, Romero seldom achieved the full status of a leading man. Nonetheless, his charm, debonair good looks and suave style made him a favourite on screen as well as among his peers. Born one day after Valentine's Day and gifted dashing good looks, Cesar Romero was destined to be a leading man. His father was an Italian-born importer-exporter of sugar refining machinery, and his mother was a Cuban concert singer. He grew up in Bradley Beach, New Jersey, and was educated at Bradley Beach Elementary School, Ashbury Park High School, the Collegiate School, and the Riverdale Country Day School. However, that lifestyle changed dramatically when his parents lost their sugar import business and suffered losses in the stock market crash of 1929. Romero's Hollywood earnings allowed him to support his large family, all of whom followed him to the American West Coast years later. Romero lived on and off with various family members, especially his sister, for the rest of his life. He got his start in vaudeville and nightclub dance act with Janet Hackett. In the late 1920s, Romero first attempted a career at banking, but Lisbeth Higgins met him by chance and started him down a path of professional dancing. "I was a hell of a good dancer. I always was stage-struck anyway," he told the Associated Press. "It was the only way I knew how to get into show business." His success on the stage led Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer Studios to pick him up for a role in The Thin Man in 1934. This led to him starring in The Return of the Cisco Kid and being taken on by 20th Century Fox in 1937. His fellow contract players at 20th Century Fox knew him as Butch, an ironic nickname poking fun at the reality that Cesar Romero would never play the boy next door. The towering Cuban entertainer, he stood at 6'3", was far more than the picture-perfect Latin lover. He played good guys and bad guys, a cowboy and a vampire, a dancer and a magician. Romero transitioned easily from military service back to his duties as a character player, with occasional sidebars as a leading man in low-budget independent programmers. As his pomaded hair and pencil moustache lightened to baronial platinum, Romero subspecialised in playing members of Europe's aristocratic diaspora, most memorably in Robert Aldrich's Vera Cruz and John Ford's Donovan's Reef. Romero was often cast in movies as a gigolo or the other man, but he said he had escaped the label of Latin lover. In Hollywood by 1934, Romero traded on his good looks to gain access into industry parties, where he passed himself off as the Latin from Manhattan. He was extremely well liked about town and could often be counted on to squire glamour girls like Carole Lombard and Joan Crawford about town. Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer saw in Romero the potential shadow of Rudolph Valentino and cast him as a gigolo in The Thin Man, whose unexpected success spawned a long-running series of glossy whodunits starring leads William Powell and Myrna Loy. Romero followed this with a featured role in British Agent, pairing with British actor Leslie Howard in a drama set against the backdrop of the Soviet Revolution. Signing with David O. Selznick at 20th Century Pictures, Romero was put to work in a succession of ethnic roles in such films as Clive of India with Ronald Colman and The Devil is a Woman, directed by Josef von Sternberg. Though fifth billed, Romero was depicted in the film's ad campaign as sharing a romantic clinch with star Marlene Dietrich, which cemented his reputation as a Latin lover. When I started in motion pictures in 1934, they said I was going to be the next Valentino, he recalled in 1984. I was never a leading man, and very seldom did I do a picture where I got the girl, but I was saddled with the label because I had a Latin name. My background is Cuban, but I'm from New York City. I'm a Latin from Manhattan. Hollywood took advantage of Cesar Romero's dancing prowess in the early 1940s, but World War II interrupted Cesar Romero's movie career. In October 1942, he voluntarily enlisted in the United States Coast Guard and served in the Pacific Theater of Operations. Romero's shipmates reported that he expected no special consideration based on his movie stardom. He saw combat in the invasions of the islands Tinian and Saipan. After the war, Cesar Romero resumed his film career. Reportedly, legendary producer Darrell F. Zanuck personally requested that Romero be hired to co-star with Tyrone Power in the big-budget 1947 historical epic Captain from Castile. In 1956, Romero was one of the multiple stars who appeared in supporting roles in the 1956 Academy Award Best Picture winning hit Around the World in 80 Days. One of his most memorable film roles came in 1960's Ocean's 11. He played the supporting role of Frank Sinatra's nemesis, Duke Santos. It was one of 4 films Romero made with Frank Sinatra. In all, Romero made 7 films between 1947 and 1949. In 1950, he ended his long relationship with 20th Century Fox to become a freelance actor. Romero remained busy, making an average of 2 movies a year for the next 3 decades. He appeared with Gary Cooper and Burt Lancaster in Vera Cruz, with Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin in the original Ocean's 11, and with John Wayne. His life was a full-out pursuit of superficial social events, such as art exhibit openings, movie premieres, and fashion shows. At the time, there was a running joke that Romero would attend the opening of a napkin. He was uniquely equipped for this lifestyle, since he was handsome, tall, suave, wealthy, witty, and a real fashion plate. His wardrobe contained more than 30 tuxedos, 200 sport coats, and 500 tailored suits. He practically lived at the Ambassador Hotel's Coconut Grove nightclub, Los Angeles, dancing and flirting the night away. Even though Romero was constantly spotted at Hollywood events with babes like Joan Crawford, Linda Darnell, Barbara Stanwyck, Lucille Ball, Anne Sheridan, Jane Wyman, and Ginger Rogers, Romero never married and he never had children. He explained in 1984, "How could I, when I had so many responsibilities? Could I tell a girl, let's get married and you can come and live with my father, my mother, 2 sisters, a niece and a nephew? I have no regrets, no regrets." He was also a deeply closeted homosexual man to his fans. Romero gave a revealing, often comic account of what life was like in the golden age of Hollywood for a closeted homosexual man, in Romero's instance also Catholic and Latino. Because he was out to all his entertainment industry colleagues, it was often stated that Romero's homosexuality was Hollywood's worst kept secret. He was also friends with various other celebrities such as Jerry Lewis, Joey Bishop, Sammy Davis Jr, Peter Lawford, Bing Crosby, Perry Como, Nat King Cole, Humphrey Bogart, Spencer Tracy, Katharine Hepburn and Mickey Rooney. Many survivors of the era speak of the long relationship between Romero and fellow Fox actor Tyrone Power. Romero, however, insisted that Power loved the ladies. He couldn't help it. Every place he went, boy, those women were there. True enough, Power's affairs with women are well documented, but the star was also, as documented, involved with a number of men. A George Cukor's associate, Charles Williamson, recalled a friend of his who was procured by Cesar Romero as a trick for Power, who, unlike other stars, preferred middle-class boys over street kids. He felt it was safer, that they were less likely to cause a scandal, said Williamson. They understood the need for discretion. With his striking handsomeness and sturdy build, he proved a reliable actor in musicals, comedies, dramas and westerns. He became well known to TV audiences in the 1950s, but he made his biggest impact with the public as the evil, pun-cracking Joker. He was an unexpected choice to play the villain. The role reignited his fame. Romero's turn as the Joker on Batman was such a powerful role that it reignited his career and kept him around for decades. While speaking about playing a villain on the camp classic Batman, Cesar Romero said, "Everybody wanted to be a villain in Batman. It was sort of the thing to do. Everybody included Frank Sinatra. Apparently at the height of his fame, Sinatra was angling for a role as the Joker. Unfortunately for the leader of Ocean's 11, the production had already cast Romero and they didn't want to fire him." Star Burt Ward confirmed the rumour as well, as the fact his loss of the role meant that he refused to appear as any other character. Even though Old Blue Eyes refused to appear because he lost out on wearing a green wig, his Rat Pack pal, Sammy Davis Jr, popped up in Season 2 of the show playing himself. Aside from being really tall and really handsome, the one thing that everyone associated with Cesar Romero was his moustache. It was such a trademark that he refused to shave it off when he was cast as the Joker. Instead, he just smeared white face paint over his facial hair for a surreal effect. His paint-slathered moustache wasn't the only thing that set him apart from other Jokers. Romero's take was a much more whimsical version than the Jokers we're used to seeing today. While filming the show, he explained why so many talented actors were drawn to appearing on the show. "We have a lot of fun doing this show, and we had a lot of fun making the movie. It's a part that you can do everything that you've always been told not to do as an actor. In other words, you can get as hammy as you like and go all out. It's great fun. I enjoy it." Romero understood the Joker. If you've ever seen the Adam West Batman, and if you haven't, you need to turn on your Bat TV and watch all 3 seasons now, you know that the actors who appear as villains on the show, Roddy McDowall, Vincent Price, Julie Newmar, aren't just punching the clock. They're really diving into their characters. For Romero, that meant really understanding the Joker and what made him tick. In an interview filmed at the time the show was on the air, he explained the Clown Prince of Crime's hair. "I'm not a great student of the Batman comic strip, but I understand that the Joker got the green hair because, in one of the first strips that he appeared in making his escape from Batman, he dove into a river that was full of a certain chemical that turned his hair green. So from then on, he's had green hair." And when asked by the interviewer if the Joker will ever win on the show, he discussed why the villains can never triumph on the show. "Oh, you can't win. The villain can't win. We always win on Wednesday night. At the end of the show on Wednesday night, we're winning. But then comes Thursday night and we lose." Romero, who struggled against the stereotype of the Latin lover that affected many Latino actors at the time, played the same part in his own personal life. He also had a role in the Oscar-winning Around the World in 80 Days in 1956. During the 1980s and early 1990s, Romero slowed his prolific movie schedule, and his last film appearance was in 1991 in the black comedy Mortuary Academy. He will always be remembered primarily for bringing to life the most celebrated villain of the enduring Batman franchise. He also blazed a trail for Latin performers to come, maintaining his status as a key supporting player for 6 decades. When he passed away in the 1990s, his face was one of the most instantly recognizable in Hollywood history. His gracious, unpretentious personality, combined with his impeccable manners and dress, made him a favorite escort. Active on the social scene until his death. Romero died of pneumonia-related blood clot on New Year's Day in 1994 in Santa Monica, California, just 6 weeks shy of his 87th birthday. He'll always live on in the hearts of Batman fans everywhere as the first and most fun Joker. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you are new here, and if you want to support my work, please visit my Patreon page. To one generation, Cesar Romero was the distinguished Latin lover, but it's worth saying a few words about Batman. Watch my video about how could Adam West sleep with 8 women a night.